Hello and Assalamu alaikum. Today we have with us Samson Simon Sharaf. He is retired from the Pakistan Army after serving for 33 years. He is a political economist, most notably for his nuclear policy and strategy making. He is a specialist in security, and he is well known for his in depth analysis and his in depth understanding of geopolitics and political economy. He has been associated with Imran Khan and with the PTI since 2005. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show, Simon.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you for inviting me over.
Thank you for agreeing to do this with us. Tell us a little bit about your association with Imran Khan and with PTI.
I joined PTI through the website in 2005. I was not active till 2007 because there's a 2 year ban on people who are from government service.
Mhm.
But I started appearing in television talk shows. And Imran Khan then commented to some of his people around him that who's this person? He writes very well. I've read his articles and he speaks well in the talk shows. So why don't we get him over? Now, when they tried to get me over, they realized I was already an enrolled member of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, and then after that, uh, it's been a roller coaster, peaks and valleys, ups and downs. That's how my association with PTI has been since 2005. I've been a shadow defense minister for the party. I've been an advisor to Imran Khan. I've been the deputy election commissioner in the party, a post I resigned from in 2016. I've also been the president of the Insaf Labour Wing, which I reorganized and made after the promulgation of the Constitution of 2019. Actually, that is the Constitution we made. I was amongst the writers of the Constitution. Myself, Hamid Khan, Dr. Abul Hassan Marhoom, we played a big role in making that constitution in 2016. And then suddenly in December 2022, the party organizations were all dissolved. So there we were, holding no position in the party. So once the crisis began, none of us or my colleagues, we were uh, in any party structure of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. That's all.
However, yes, but you have been there in the background, and your in-depth knowledge about the geopolitics and the political economy, basically, it's fascinating. You've got like hundreds of articles that you've written, and so in depth. Talk to us a little bit today about what's going on in the Middle East with the Israel and the Palestine conflict, and then and what role do you think Pakistan has right now in in the global situation?
Well, Pakistan has always had a very important role in any global situation. Even today, if you see the war in Ukraine, Pakistan is a major supplier of military hardware to Ukraine. So, Pakistan,
Mhm.
because of its geopolitical position and because of the potential that it has, has always been a very pivot state in the geostrategic template. Our role as far as Palestine is concerned has been very, very active in the past. Uh, we have trained people of the Palestine Liberation Army (PLA). Their officers and men used to get trained in Pakistan. We used to train them. They used to come here on courses. We gave them a command and control structure. But I don't think it is any more the same. Pakistan has stepped backwards, particularly in the past 4, 5 years, 5 years or so. We have detached ourselves to a great degree from Palestine, even from Kashmir. So, as of now, I cannot say what role Pakistan is going to play in the present crisis. These crises have their own dynamics. They have their dynamics in the beginning of the Cold War, uh, in the rise of the Islamic Brotherhood. Those dynamics have touched Pakistan also at various times. Maybe even now they affect us. So, as far as Palestine is concerned, the dynamics actually need a very objective analysis. And objective analysis means that if I say something which you do not like, then it's not a question, it's not an emotive factor. Uh, what I will talk is the reality and nothing but the reality.
And we would definitely appreciate that, like, knowing what's exactly what's going on with your lovely experience. Like, you've been with the Pakistan Army for 33 years before you retired. So, and then your involvement with politics and your deep understanding. Tell me, I, and this is a question that's been in my mind for so long. The world had been moving towards normalization with Israel, in particular the Muslim world. We saw the Saudi crown prince make that announcement as well. We know that Imran Khan's what Imran Khan's sentiments were. They were exactly what Qaeda Azam's sentiments were, about the recognition, about the normalization with Israel. That cannot happen until the Palestinians get their right. Imran Khan, then we saw his removal, and then suddenly we saw, the globe kind of change up towards with the Muslim globe change their policies toward Israel, and then this conflict begins, and we see a deafening silence from the present government in Pakistan. Do you think that Imran Khan's removal had something to do with that?
It had everything to do with it. You see,
Hmm.
on the face of it, Imran Khan is and was a small dot on the strategic template. But the waves that he was creating were giving people nightmares. And the nightmares were not coming because of Imran Khan, they were coming because of the rising China.
Hmm.
We are Belt and Road projects of China, the economic miracle of China. China emerging as the world's economic powerhouse and trying to extend its influence through seas and through overland all over the world. That is primarily Europe and Africa. And for Middle East and Africa, China has to pass through Pakistan, Iran, or Turkey. These three options they have. And to them, the best option, the shortest and the best option was Pakistan, because Pakistan sits on the Gulf, on the mouth of the Persian Gulf. So, this rising China, Pakistan becoming an ally of China,
Hmm.
both nuclear armed states, rise of Imran Khan, his challenging United States of America by saying absolutely not, him talking of a new social contract in the Islamic world, for which he had some notes exchange with Muhtaram Mahathir Mohamad and President Erdogan of Turkey, which the Saudis did not like at all. So all these things happened, and they happened very openly. Imran's policies were not opaque. They were very transparent. He would say what he wanted to say, notwithstanding whether someone liked it or not. And ultimately, with hindsight, we can say he suffered because of that. So all these things are mutually tied. But at that point of time, the synergy that could be given to this concept of breaking out from the containment ring set up by the NATO and United States of America around China and Russia, Pakistan became the biggest actor. because this is the area from where China would break out. And once he visited Russia, everyone suspected now China and Russia will join hand. And the oil deal
Mm-hmm.
that he did with Russia is not the deal which Russia did with India. Russia was to give the oil through its own pipelines to China, and China was to compensate us from the oil it imports from the Middle East. So, uh, all this was happening and being discussed and agreed upon, and MOU signed, and then this regime change operation started. There was somebody who did not want Pakistan to become a staunch ally of People's Republic of China, and by consequence, ultimately, directly or indirectly, an ally of Russia. This was the concern in the West. This was the concern in the United States of America. So they wanted to stop this Chinese foray towards the Arabian Sea and towards Middle East in the tracks. And for that, Imran had to go. And that is why this rest we can say, people will come out with so much of flimsy excuses and flimsy cases in the courts, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, this was global strategy.
Mm. Okay, talking about the global strategy and kind of bringing you back to the Middle East. When we were speaking earlier, like earlier this week, you mentioned about the Egyptian government's fall, the fall of Morsi's government, and the the coup that General Sisi staged, and then the similarities of that with what happened in Pakistan. How do you see that? And I know that's loaded.
I hope you read the whole article, read the last paragraph. I made hints it will happen in Pakistan.
Yes, you had predicted that.
Is being repeated in Pakistan.
Right. Absolutely.
There's so many similarities. And from what I hear from the legal team of
Hmm.
Imran Khan,
Hmm.
even the cage is the same
Acha.
in which the witness has to stand. So there's so many similarities. It's unfortunate that when I wrote that article which you read, I made certain hints. You please go back and read it again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I always dreaded that if Imran comes to power and if he does not assemble a proper team around himself, and this is 2013, mind you, Dharna
Mm-hmm.
was still not held, and all these cuckoos, these birds which give eggs in the nest of other birds and occupy them, were swarming around him. I was suspicious that this fate would fall on him one day. And we discussed it with many friends in the party also. So, one of the motives of writing about Morsi and what all he did, you know what he was trying to do? He developed relations with the Palestinians, he got very close to Hamas, he warmed up to Iran because
Mm-hmm.
basically he belongs to Muslim Brotherhood. Hamas is also Muslim Brotherhood, and it's purely a Sunni dominated. It is a Sunni party. It's a
Mm-hmm.
Sunni school of thought, the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas. So to dispel the notion of annoying Iran, he visited Iran and he got cozy with them. He also got cozy with the American Secretary of State and Chuck Hagel. And somehow they convinced Obama once again that he must make a try to resolve the Palestinian issue. So when Obama went to Middle East, he went to Saudi Arabia, he was given a very cold shoulder by the royal family because they had already tied up things with Israel. They had a track to with Israel already. They did not want PLO to be incorporated in the power sharing formula. The basic issue was that. So it was scuttled. And President Obama had to cut a sorry figure and get back to United States. And then you see after that certain visible reforms taking place in Saudi Arabia that was I certain apprehensions and whatever was happening globally, which was tied to Saudi actions and their funding and everything. So uh, this is was the background of Morsi, and the same dynamics, they've caught up with Imran Khan and Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf.
Absolutely, and then we also saw the closeness once again coming between Saudi and Iran, once again resolving their differences and coming together. And Imran Khan did play a, a pretty significant role in that. But we're going to have to keep that for our next show next week because we're running out of time. So
I'd
we
like to
will.
say something about Palestine issue because it's a issue which is very close to the heart of every Pakistani. Even
Absolutely.
Mohtarma Fatma Jinnah in her book,
Hmm.
she's written three things which Jinnah kept telling her all the time: the Muslim migrants coming from India, the future of Kashmir, and the future of Palestine. So the question of Palestine is always very close to the heart of every Pakistani, including us. Uh, the there were so many independence movements in Palestine, right? Popular Front for Liberation of Palestine. There was PLO, and there were so many others. George Habash, for instance, was a Christian. Laila Khalid, the one who hijacked aircrafts, was a Christian. So Christians also played a big role in this. So it was a multi-religious movement for the freedom of Palestine. When Hamas came in and they challenged PLO,
Hmm.
ultimately they took some seats in the parliament, and, and then after that they withdrew from the political process and established their hold in Gaza. They were tacitly supported by Netanyahu for 14 years. Supplies coming to Gaza through the corridors which Israel controlled, so things coming from Qatar, all that. Uh, you need to know that as far as Hamas is concerned, it considers PLO an enemy which has the
Hmm.
government in the West Bank. And here in the Gaza Strip, it's a free for all because Hamas runs the show over here, whether they win seats or not. And they've had a tacit understanding for a long time because Netanyahu wanted divide and rule, bifurcate the freedom struggle of the Palestinians, and create an enmity between them.
Hmm.
So if you see Mahmoud Abbas and his people, uh, they are very critical of the senseless bombing and the tremendous human casualties that are taking place in Gaza. But in the same vein, they are not condemning Hamas because uh, it has happened that this non-state actor at some stage became hostile to Israel.
Hmm.
Uh, it was a monster which was created just like the Al Qaeda monster which came out of the Muslim Brotherhood. And then in Pakistan, we had the TTP, we had the ISIS later on, and we have the Daesh, some elements. They were all over the Middle East and everything. These were all created by the West. They did not come up as a result of an evolution based on the aspirations of the people. That phenomena is true of the Palestine Liberation Organization, Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, and five or six other groups. So, this reality we must know. Now, another aspect is how come at the time of a festival when the security is always on the highest, there were no surveillance cameras, there was no eavesdropping, There was no electronic surveillance. There was no satellite surveillance. There were people who were tweeting 2 days earlier that some rockets and every launchers are being stationed in Gaza. Egypt sent a special message to Israel that there may be a strike. Everything was overlooked. So the question is for all of you to ponder: who gave a nod? Somebody gave a nod to Saddam Hussein, invaded Kuwait. And there's so many other places where countries were given nods and they went into it. Even the beginning of Second World War, how it all started. So uh, the assassination of the Duke. So who gave the nod? That is a question which we have to really investigate and ponder and know. But that aside, the way Israel has retaliated with indiscriminate aerial strikes, ground operations, attacks on hospitals, a Baptist hospital also in the Gaza Strip has been destroyed. Everything. Uh, that is a violation of the laws of war. You do not, if you have declared a war, then you have to abide by the laws of war. You do not indiscriminately bomb civilian populations. It does not happen anywhere in the world. It's not even happening in Ukraine. So, but because the control of the world is with the allies of Israel, there is going to be no whimper from Europe or from United States of America or any of their allies. There will also not be any whimper from the Arab world, except some sugar-coated dressing,
Hmm.
because political interests are involved. It's not a question of religion for them. For them, it's a question that they remain in power because they're surrogates of someone with whom they have long term treaties and agreements. So, Iran will raise hue and cry. Syria has been a victim because Israel retaliated, someone retaliated. There was a parade
Mhm.
going on, and they with drones they attacked and destroyed it. Turkey will do something here, something there. They'll follow a safe route. Erdogan will not like to become a Morsi or an Imran Khan. So this is what will happen. Uh, Hamas has chewed more than it could bite and far more than what it could digest because there was no follow-up plan. They don't have an army. They cannot occupy territories. They don't have tanks. They don't have air force. They don't have artillery. So why did they launch such a huge rockets and
Attacks.
gliders and
Hmm.
clutch and poles, pickups and motorcycles? I personally, from a military point of view, it was a suicidal operation. I'm sure most of the young men who took part in it, most of them would never return back because they're either dead or would be ultimately killed.
And you did, some of the questions that you raised over there. Yes, there have been some discussion about that. About the penetration of the Iron Dome, and it's something that we I would like to get more in depth with you about as we look at the changing world, because I feel personally that we're once again at the brink of a huge change in the world, in the current political situation, in geopolitics. And I know that that's something that's your niche, and I would love to pick your brains about that. However, unfortunately,
Uh,
today we're running out of time, so we'll have to do that on the next show. Something you wanted to say, sir?
yeah, I just because without this point, this discussion
Hmm.
cannot be concluded.
Yeah.
Middle East, beginning Iran, the entire Middle East, Israel, Egypt. This is the southern front of the containment ring of NATO.
Hmm.
And United States of America wants to strengthen the southern front against China and Russia, the BRI and all that. And the pivot state in this entire strategy is Israel. So Israel has to be made stronger. Egypt, Jordan, UAE, Saudi Arabia, in a way, they're all allies of Israel now. If you
Hmm.
see the G20 meeting that took place in India, if you see the developments of the Indo-Pacific alliance, these all these things, they link up. They're all linking up together.
Hmm.
So what is left out of the US influence in Middle East? Some parts of Iraq, most of Syria, we have Iran. Lebanon still has a 50-50 policy because Hezbollah over there is very strong, Iranian influence is very strong. These are the forces which are likely to support the Palestinians. Perhaps not all of them would support Hamas.
Hmm.
Let me say that. Rest, everyone is with Israel, even India.
Absolutely, and that's what we've been witnessing. Um, and like I said, that's a discussion I would love to get more in depth into, because um, I see a lot of similarities in how the world changed and the conflict post 9/11 in 2001. So yeah, I would love to get more in depth with you in our next show. For today, thank you so much for joining us, and as always, I love listening to your input.
Thank you very much, Saman.
Thank you, Simon.